got a question from a viewer. Hey, Joe, what were your top financial mistakes? Oh, so hey, I know you folks love these. Where hey, let's make fun of Joe time, but if it can help, and also to recognize that everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's going to be perfect. Okay, if somebody tells you that they're perfect and they've made every financial move correct, they're very rare. I'll say they're probably not being very truthful. So, my top mistakes. Hey, getting married and having four kids. No, I'm just kidding about that. Hey, those have been just great decisions of my life. But if you're only looking financially, those can be pricey. Hey, if you think marriage is pricey, try divorce, but never tried that. Not looking forward to that at any time. But yeah, that's probably a good one to keep on top of your list. Don't get divorced. So let's get to my four financial mistakes that I've made in my career or in my adult life. And I got them on a board here behind me. So if I look up, that's what I'm looking at. And they kind of haunt me a little bit, but they remind me of that I need to stay educated, stay humble, and stay a learner, and and seek the advice of other people. Like my financial group that I meet with, and like my advisor that I meet with. So number one, and this is in order of time, okay, and this is I'd say 1987 is when I signed up for the pretty new 401k program. I signed up for 6%, and that was the company match. So I got 6% plus the company match. I was saving 12%. And, boy, it took me about 3 years to increase my portion to 18% of my pre-tax income. You think you think you don't have much money and you need it all when you're young. Why would I save in this retirement thing? That sounds crazy. I had a pension at the time, so why do I need money? So, okay, I'll do this. That was a mistake that I made. But, think about those times 401k was new. Didn't have a lot of guides in my life at that time pushing details like this. Like I said, it was fairly new. The company didn't push it. They didn't give you a sales pitch. It's just sign up for what do you think, and it was a, 10-second thought process, okay, I'll sign up for this. Remember, this is before YouTube. This is before the internet. And, it was just a decision out of ignorance. So the lesson there is, folks, if you know better, coach the youth. I know my brother does a great job of all new hires that come in and work for him, sits down and talks to them for a couple hours about finances that they never get from their parents, don't get in school. So he's taken it upon himself to do that. Great. So please find one person and nudge them a little bit towards saving for retirement. Number two, when I became a new dad, one of the things we did was we went out and bought a minivan. It's kind of what you did, even in the early 90s. This was around 1990. And I bought a Chrysler minivan. What a piece of junk. Piece of junk. Never bought a Chrysler since. Won't let my kids buy a Chrysler. That van at 80,000 miles was worthless. 80,000 miles. Think about that nowadays. My wife's car's got 175 on it. 178, actually, 178. And, but that Chrysler was junk. Chrysler, they sell a lot of glitz and glamour. Their price of vehicles are down a little bit even today, but they just don't last. They don't last. So, the long-term reliability of that purchase was just terrible. I regret that. Number three, a little bit later, I bought a high-top conversion van. Had four kids, and every one of my family members, my wife and 4 kids would say this was a great decision. We had this high top van for 5 years, bought it brand new, loved it, had a 22-inch flat screen TV in it. It had bucket seats in it. It was deluxe. Sold it after 5 years, lost $20,000 on that. So $20,000 over 5 years depreciation. Just a horrible decision, in my opinion, financially. I regret it. All my kids argue with me. We bring it up every Christmas. Um, but so hey, 2 of my regrets are cars. So you know why I'm so passionate about cars, and my earlier video about why I drive a 2005 Toyota Camry. Um, Cars, that you sink a lot of money in them, but I learned lessons. Cost me, I paid the stupid tax a couple times on cars, but I've learned. Pass that on to my kids, I believe. Number 4, and this was my most expensive mistake, but the 2008 and 9 financial crisis. Okay, now many of you are too young to remember living through that, but the whole financial system was in danger of just complete collapsing. The whole American financial system, banking, mortgages, every loan, bonds, stocks were tumbling. People lost, 50, 60% of their investments. There was true panic in the streets, okay? And I didn't take everything and move it to fixed income, but I took about $100,000 of my investments at that time and moved them into fixed, and then didn't look at my 401k for probably 4 years. Just, I kept putting money in, kept putting it in stocks, but I shifted $100,000 out, and I should have just left it in stocks. But I took, a percentage, it wasn't 100%, I actually don't even remember the percent, but I know it was about $100,000 at the time. And, that probably, that would have doubled just a couple years later, and then doubled again and doubled again and doubled again. That decision probably cost me $500,000 here, 15 years later. It's just, it is what it is. So now you got to remember, at that time, the internet was just taking off. It's been around a little longer than that, but there was no YouTube, no, very little information. All you had was people on TV freaking panicking, just panicking, talking about the end of time. And I listened to a little bit of that, and I've learned a great lesson through that. You don't listen to the daily news reports, what's in the newspaper, what's in USA Today, what's on CNN and Fox, and you listen to nothing where they're talking about the day. You look at longer term trends. They're trying to create panic, so you tune in tomorrow and you stay hooked to the TV. Hard lesson to learn, but I did make that mistake. So I recovered, so you can too. Perhaps you'll learn a little bit from my lessons learned and mistakes. I feel obligated to say I made a lot of right decisions. My ego wants to say I made a lot of right decisions. But that's not the subject of this video. It's 4 mistakes that I remember, I regret, but I learned something great from each one of them. I know I'm better off as a financial person, as a dad and a husband for these decisions, but they still haunt me. So hopefully this helps. This is Joe out.